Hello, 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 beautiful people. It is Thursday afternoon. No, it's not. It's Thursday evening. And I am here, freshly washed hair. Just come out of the shower after a lovely day, busy day. And here I am. So, my darlings, I want to speak to you this evening about the risk of showing up, the risk of choosing to live life as a creative adventure, choosing to be you, just simply be you. Now, it's really interesting, but one of the biggest reasons, most likely, that a lot of us don't necessarily go and do the thing that we want to do. Pick up the paintbrush, open the blank page to write, join the choir, save up to go traveling, move somewhere hot, put themselves out there on a dating site, whatever it might be. One of the biggest reasons why this is hard for us to do is because we fear what other people are going to say. The fear of being judged. Now, this is very real. This fear is very, very real, and it's real for every single one of us. Even those people that look like they got it together, they're used to being up on a stage in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. They're on our screens all the time. They're creating choreographed pieces. They're putting on their shows in fringe theatre festivals. The Edinburgh Fringe Festival is opening in a few months again. Every single one of these people will probably have this very similar thing going on. This kind of hum of fear about how they and what it is that they're offering is going to be received. Now, the thing is, this is an edge that there's no way around it. I've not got any particular super tools or anything to say here that's going to change that and make people all be nice and say the right things. I mean, you could, if you were able to, in the right audience, ask for only specific feedback, positive, constructive feedback. Certainly, in my women's writers group that I haven't been to for a while, but they're absolutely amazing. Shout out to them. That was one of the things that we were very, very clear about. I've also been involved in groups where we were offering out pieces of performance and were invited to ask for the kind of feedback that we wanted. However, most of the time that is not possible. That's a very, very small example of being able to control how we are received and what is offered back to us. But in order to take that risk, to dare, we have to look at this. We have to look at what happens when we dare to be brave enough to have the courage to be visible. And this is where vulnerability plays a massive part in this whole process. So I'm just going to start off actually here with a quote. So if you're watching this on the replay, do say hello. You can do a hashtag replay. If you're watching this live, hashtag live. It's really lovely to know who's here, basically, just listening away. So this is a quote from one of my favorite authors, Paulo Coelho. And he says, if everybody loves you, something is wrong. If everybody loves you, something is wrong. It's good, that, isn't it? Hello, gorgeous. Hi, Laura. Yeah, if everybody loves you, something is wrong. Thing is, showing up and the art of showing up is, it's basically, we have to decide what we're choosing to believe in. We have to decide what we're choosing to be the fuel, the motivation for us to do the thing. And that fuel can be anything. Whatever our motivation is can be anything. Ideally, when we put ourselves out there, we want to be choosing to put ourselves out there for the motivation to be love, to be connection, engagement, care, make a difference, empathy, understanding, a real sense of being connected at our heart. If we're coming with the fuel of fear and doubt and worry and already having the sense of got to protect myself, then that's a very different energy and the audience will feel that. I have to say right now that I feel a little nervous actually coming on this live today. Whew, and as I say that, it helps just to shift that. That's the truth. I'm just going to share that with you. I think because talking about visibility and vulnerability and putting ourselves out there is kind of what I'm doing now, talking to you. And it's also what I've started to step up into more. And also going back to a very, very, very old, but very, very real dream to get up, to perform, to be on stage. It's scary as fuck, basically. It's absolutely scary as hell. So, what are you choosing to live from? What is the fuel? And I really love a quote by, there's an art therapist called Winnicott, Derek Winnicott, I think his name is. And he says something like, and I'm paraphrasing, that artists live between the tension of wanting to show up and expose themselves and the absolute dread and fear of showing up and exposing themselves. A paradox. And I could say that the word artist is any of us that want to live a more engaged, rich, satisfying, creative life. We want to be seen and heard. And we're terrified to be seen and heard because we're strange creatures. That's the thing, isn't it? So, showing up, being visible. Now, the problem is, if we're not actually here, we're not actually in our bodies, we're not embodied, there's no one home, we're not speaking from our body, then we're kind of a little bit flat, a little bit two-dimensional. And you could say that we don't have any self. And when that's the case, there's no home to sit in. So we're constantly looking outside of ourselves. We're looking over there, what's going on, what's that person doing? And we seek to get a sense of ourselves from outside. The Buddhists call this the hungry ghost. And whatever we try and take in, attention, love, drama, lust, we're trying to get connection. But actually what we're doing is having almost this kind of fast food quick fix, which we might have that spark of that sense of being connected, that intimacy, but it's not sustaining. It's gone straight away. You're then hungry again and want that next fix. Always searching outside. There's no sense of being fulfilled because there's no sense of self. In that case, it's easy then, if you're in that place, to look out at other people that perhaps are doing their thing, they're showing up, they're being visible, they're offering their art into the world, and to make judgments, to react. Becomes very easy to do that. And the reason why they get triggered or that they react, well, because it touches something in them. It activates something, some fear, some anger, maybe some grief. Ideally, we would love our very presence and self to activate, I don't know, joy in someone else, love, interest, curiosity, kindness, friendship. But if someone has a reaction to us when we put ourselves out there, then that's really difficult. And for me, there's a sense that if someone's doing that, maybe it's triggering something because they're not actually pressing the button that they want to press. So it's easier to be the art critic, say, and criticize and point at the mistakes an artist is making, what they shouldn't be doing, rather than be that artist themselves and actually sit in that absolute vulnerable place. That's, that's kind of just how it is. Hello, do say hello if you're just joining me. It's really nice to see who's on board. So I'm talking about visibility and vulnerability and why so many of us don't go for what we want to go and put ourselves out there because of the absolute fear of being judged by others. It's the fear is real. It doesn't go away. It's very real. The thing is, some people are never going to get us. Some people are never going to get us. They're never going to understand us. They're not going to like us no matter what we do, what shape we are. They just don't resonate. Fortunately, there's what? I don't actually know the number. Is it 7 billion people in the world? 8 billion people? So it's okay if not everybody likes us. Is it though? Or do we want to be liked? It's a bit spooky, isn't it, when maybe somebody doesn't like us and we're like, why? The thing is though, if we feel like we have to get that validation that we're lovable, that we're likable from outside of us, or we've got a massive people pleasing part of us, or we're a huge controller or perfectionist, all of these places I know, then this is all dependent on somebody outside that we can't control. And that's quite a vicarious place to live and a very tricky place to live because we're always going to be kind of on tenterhooks going, well, what do you think? Was that okay? Am I okay? Should I do it like this? Is that right? Is that wrong? So a lot of us have these strategies in place. We've probably all have these strategies, ways to be loved, ways to feel connected, ways to be validated. We've all developed these ever since we were young. We just did in order to survive, you know. But there comes a certain point, especially if we're putting ourselves out in the world, where they're not going to work anymore. They're going to hinder our growth rather than support our growth. The thing is as well, then that's when we start to betray ourselves, have this sense of self betrayal. Um, and this is, sorry, I was just seeing what was happening in my video then. And this is a shame because this is when we maybe start to tone down our voice. We might start to change our artwork, our voice, in our music. So many ways that we start to change what is actually what wants to come out from us. Now, I'm obviously not talking about when we go to somebody and go, a mentor or a teacher or a guide or somebody that is an expert in the field that we're in and ask for their help in order to grow, maybe technically, to expand our range in the field that we're in. That's different. Then we're asking for the feedback. But when it's just thrown at us willy-nilly for no reason, that is a whole different matter. So we have to be able to find a way to come home to ourselves, to start from this place within. And again, just wanting to say hello. And if you're watching, please do comment if you want to. It's really nice. Any questions or anything from this that you feel is resonant for you? Does that make sense to you? That kind of feel what people are saying, that kind of part of you, maybe that's changed who you are in order to fit in and belong, to feel like you're loved, even though it doesn't quite feel like it is your shape. Are you scared that you're going to offend people with your art or what it is that you have to say just by being you? So we start to dim down, maybe just make ourselves a bit more, a bit more normal. Good luck with that one. Don't really know what normal is. Don't think anyone knows. If someone could come up with an actual definition of what normal looks like, that would be really helpful because then I could look at it and go, and then rip it up and throw it in the bin. So, the thing that supports us to be visible and not to betray ourselves is vulnerability. To be able to say to ourselves straight away, look, I have these aspects in myself that are not perfect. I'm a fallible human being. Vulnerability itself means the ability to be wounded. It's a very open-hearted pose. In fact, in yoga, which I used to teach for many years, the 3 warrior poses in the practice are all about having an incredibly open heart. Yeah, we're not protected, we're not armored, we're open. The arrows can come in and find that kind of soft point of our heart. That's what it means to be vulnerable in the world. And it's admitting we're not perfect. It's admitting when we're scared. And one of the things that I was thinking about this morning, actually, that I think we forget is whenever we're trying something that's new for us, or what we haven't done for a long time, maybe since we were little and less self-conscious, is that we're learning. When did we get so cruel towards ourselves and to others who are learning? Think about it. Were people mean to us when we were trying to walk and as a little toddler wobble and fall over? When we were trying to talk, were we made fun of because we used the wrong words? Or were we supported and celebrated for each, literal and metaphorical step along the way? Why do we feel like we've ever stopped learning? It's interesting. I have this whole thing around learning to love. I feel like life is um, always about learning. Thank you, Fiona. Yeah, isn't it? I've always been really fascinated by that. Just even the word vulnerable, the ability to be wounded. It's a choice. It's very powerful. We choose that. So, being able to say, I'm nervous before I did this live today, being able to get up on stage and go, oh my God, my throat is dry, or I feel really shy, is admitting that we don't have it all together. We don't know fully what we're doing. We don't know how to do it right because there isn't a right. It doesn't make sense. It's allowing ourselves maybe to do it wrong sometimes, to make mistakes, to fall over, to be wobbly. I don't know if any of you saw Patti Smith accepting, I think it was the Nobel Prize for Literature, could be completely wrong here, or something, for Bob Dylan. I think it was last year or the year before. He's a very, very shy man, apparently, and he asked her, as a friend, to go up and receive the award on his behalf and to sing, I think it was A Hard Day's Night. Patti Smith, fucking amazing woman. She got up there, she got a massive orchestra, it was in front of all these, I don't know, King and Queen of Sweden, all these important big people. And she fucked up. She fucked up one of the lyrics in, I don't know, the second or the third stanza. What does she do? In that beautiful, humble way that Patti seems to have about her, she kind of made a little kind of joke. She was obviously, and she said afterwards, she was so nervous. And she said, can we start over? Can we start over? And all of the audience, you could see how much they were on her side. So even amazing artists like that stumble and fall. So let's be kind to ourselves and let's be kind to each other when we get up and get up on stage. Yeah, it's incredible. There's a guy that plays, there's loads of musicians in Manchester, and there's a guy that plays the recorder. I've not seen him for a while, older guy. Been doing it for years on the streets in the city centre. He's shit. He's really shit. But every time I see him or anyone else who is out there, I'm always like, respect. Wow. The fucking balls to get up out there. Whether you're any good or not is irrelevant. Don't have to like it, or we can love it and put, a quid, fiver, or whatever in his hat. But there's people that are doing it. It's inspiring, isn't it? I think it's incredibly inspiring. So this is where our power comes from. When we're able to admit our fallibility, our imperfectness, the fact we're still learning, we're being clumsy, we're growing, that we might get it wrong sometimes, we might put our foot in our mouth sometimes, we might offend sometimes without realising it, sometimes purposefully, like Ricky Gervais. I love Ricky Gervais. I love how offensive he was at the Golden Globe Awards for about, I don't know, 3 years. Did he do it? 5 years? Just ripped into all of the celebrities. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Some people hated him. I think Mel Gibson tried to come up and fight with him at one point. But he was being him. And he knows, especially that edgy, being that much of a trickster, that he's going to have very different responses to him. And it's hard. Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who is the woman that wrote Women Who Run with the Wolves, which is such a beautiful, beautiful book. She talks about the not beautiful parts of ourselves, the not beautiful, and how can we find a new relationship with these? Because the thing is, these parts, unless we're letting ourselves see these parts and accept them as part of who we are, whether we like them or not, we don't have to like them, but they're part of who we are. Maybe the loudmouth, maybe the cocky one, maybe the one that thinks they're better, maybe the one that's like, please love me. The more that we allow these parts of us, the more we take away shame. Shame is the thing that takes our power away. Shame is the weapon that can be used against us. So if we're ashamed of ourselves on some level, then that troll out there, that, what would I call it, custardly yellow coward out there, it's very safe, anonymous, behind the computer or wherever in the audience, can sniff out that shame and uses it as fuel to launch arrows of, well, it seems like vitriol and hatred at us. Shame is the fuel. So someone will say something, and if there's a little bit of us that feels that, ooh, ouch, that's a bit close to home, we're going to feel it. It's going to have a massive impact. So the more we can own these parts of us and go, yeah, this is me. Yeah, this is me as well. Then the more we come back into our power. Does this make sense? Do let me know if this makes sense, or if it doesn't make sense, or if you have any questions around that. The more that we can own who we are, all the bits of ourselves, particularly the bits that are a little bit, let's say, dodgy, the more that no one can kind of knock us over. Because we're like, yeah, this is me. Yeah, you're pointing out this is who I am. It's not going to affect us the same way. So what do we do when we put ourselves out there and we get this kind of attack coming towards us? Somebody's not being very nice towards us. We're getting judgment, criticism. What do we do? I mean, maybe already you're like, do you know what? I'm not even going to put myself out there. Kudos to those that do. I'm quite happy as I am. Don't need to, don't want to. End of. Great. That's absolutely great. Wonderful. It's probably I'm not talking to you then. Or maybe you're just interested anyway. But what if you do? What if you actually really desire to do that? Get up on the stage somewhere, paint pictures, start writing, do the thing you wanted to do, be visible. We have to look at these beliefs that are rocking in us that could be shameful. Am I going to be laughed at or not laughed at if we need to be laughed at? Am I going to be rejected? Am I going to be disapproved of? Am I going to offend? Am I going to embarrass myself? That's a big one. Is that I'm going to make a fool of myself? Is no one going to get me? Is no one going to show up if I set up a little exhibition somewhere? These are all real. And they're really, really scary. They're real. And they're real because obviously the thing that we're doing and putting out there matters to us. We care. So what do we do? Thing is, we can't make any of that go away because absolutely all those things could and will happen when we start to show up. People will point, people will say things. We can't control anything outside of us. So what do we do? Firstly, though, I want to ask you, if this is resonating with you, is what do you do? Yeah? Do you freeze? Do you go into fight mode and start attacking? Do you go into a fawn? Oh yeah, you're so right. Yeah, I must please you. Yeah. Do you flee? Go, fuck that. I'm out of here. I'm not even going to bother to show up again. I'm going to just hide back into my little cocoon and pretend that didn't happen. Do you blame yourself? Turn that arrow right in and push it further into yourself? Do you become invisible? What else do I have here? Do you numb out? That's a massive one. Numbing out. Do you pretend that you don't care? Do you go into a fuck you then? Fuck off. Yeah, you probably have maybe a mixture of those or certain ones of those that you will go to as your kind of default place of what happens when you feel like someone's attacking you, someone's saying something to you about what you're doing. How do you react? What about, oh, I don't care. Just pretend you don't care. All of these are protectors of our vulnerability. They're all pew, 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 kind of a little defense thing that we fly out. What do you do? I'd be really curious to know if any of those ring true for you. Maybe it's all of the above. Maybe it's one that you know that you do. It hurts, doesn't it? We protect ourselves from hurt, from that being wounded. The ouch. We don't want to feel ouch, but again, it's inevitable in life. If we're putting ourselves out and showing up, we're gonna experience that hurt, especially if we're sensitive, especially if we care, especially if something's very meaningful to us. And I don't know about you, but there's something about that energy coming towards us of the judge. It feels like we're being told off. And yeah, and it's like the energy of anger. It is kind of, for me, I feel like it's their shame or their something in them that they're not happy about, or that part that resentful or is jealous, or it's turned outwards to become blame, pointy finger, judgment, criticism. It's all the energy of anger, that force of expression, which could come out in clarity, creativity, in art, in words, in communication, in being in service, but doesn't, and it gets stuck and it becomes a bit twisted. And so the outlet becomes these kind of arrows of vitriol towards others who are showing up. What do we do with that energy, what feels like anger coming towards us? Make us question ourselves. Am I too much? Oh my God, We trigger the fuck out of them. We're mirrors for each other all the time. Everything is relationship. Okay, seeing that, Julie, thank you. Thank you for writing that. Yeah, maybe they feel powerless. Powerless people, bullies, take their power by attacking other people. It's a very, again, immature way of being. Thing is, it hurts us because it's fucking risky. So risky putting ourselves out there. I had somebody, maybe this is why I've been feeling nervous coming on this live. Some of you might have seen I had somebody send me a message of the day and pretty much attacking my voice, my loudness, my kind of trickstery mischievousness, the fact that I swear in bold capital letters, the fact that I'm really been on it with promoting my upcoming program that starts next week. And rather than just ignore it all, they decided to send me a what I felt was a very mean message that hurt. And in a way, this live has come off the back of that, because it traveling through that, this is all part of showing up. And I live very much what I offer and teach. So it's really made me sit in this sense of, okay, how do I deal with this? Not go into my usual ways, which for me would be to go, fuck you then, or to get quite hard and to be very clever and make something brilliantly witty in response. These are my places. Or to be so full of shame that maybe they're right and I am too loud and I am being too much. And I will do, Fiona. And I need to tone it down. I'm wrong. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps as I say this. These are my places of vulnerability. They're where I go when I feel that strong energy coming towards me. All to protect myself from staying here and going, ouch, ouch, ouch. And that's what I've done the last few days. It's very new for me not to react, but to stay in the space and to respond. And I'm learning how I'm learning. So if you missed that at the beginning, I'm talking about we're always learning. I'm learning how to be visible, how to take all of what I offer that I've been doing for fucking years seriously enough to show up and go, this is me. This is what I'm offering. I'm fucking amazing at what I do. Here I am. We resonate with the voices and the beats of the drums of those that are playing them that resonate with us. And that could be different ones at different times. The ones that don't, we can just go, no, and turn away. We don't have to react. Or if we do feel a reaction, what is it in us? I still get jealous when I see people doing certain stuff. I have a big thing of jealousy. I really totally own that. I get very, very jealous. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I still compare myself. Oh God, these are real places. They're not just gonna magically disappear, but I own that. It's a big part of who I am. I judge massively. But I'm owning these places. I don't want them or need them to have power over me. And it doesn't change the fundamental aspect of me, of who I am, which is pretty sweet, sassy, sensitive soul that's passionate about what she does. But what it did do, as I stayed rather than reacted and found a response, is it softened something in me. It made me curious about all of this. It made me grateful. It made me see how resilient I am. It made me have to check in with my alignment. Is this fitting? Is this right? Am I on the right thing? Okay. It made me find my heart, which is always good to find our heart, find that care again. It made me find my ground. It paused me. It wasn't nice, but it's paused me. It's made me go, what can I learn from this? So there is gratitude in this. So essentially, I'm going to bring this to a close. I only meant this to be about 20 minutes. But essentially, we can't control the world around us. We can't control others. Others will always judge us, whether we do or we don't. What we can choose is we can choose our own truth, our own alignment, our own joy, our own aliveness, our own excitement, our own fun, our own flow. Essentially, we can choose ourself. This is the hugest thing. We can choose ourselves. And I like this, something that Brené Brown said. She says, if you're not in the arena getting your ass kicked, I am not interested in your feedback. And I really like that. It's like, come and have a go at me when you're out there doing your thing as well. So we can say that to all those people that are happy to criticize in the shadows. Not interested unless you're out there as well. Then let's talk maybe. So choose to be See, great. I'm a like a little podcast. Thank you, Fiona. Oh, hi, Julie. Thank you, darling. So I'm just going to finish this by going, look, the vulnerability is where it's at. Is it easy? No, it's not. It's really hard. It does mean that we will be hurt, but we can bear that. It has a richness and a depth to it because we're always going to have people that are going to come at us, especially the more and more we stand in who we are. Even if that's not being public, the more we stand in who we are, people are going to have something to say about it. They're not going to like it as we become more and more empowered in the sense of our own self. So what I just want to say is we can play it safe in life and we can hide the desires for things we want to do. Or we can take the risk and go, do you know what? I'm going to go out there with all of this sense of learning how to be fully who I am. I'm going to be clumsy as fuck and I'm going to enjoy myself. And I know I'll have people around me that get me because we always do as well. And I'm really grateful for those around me that get me as well. I get me. I like me. So, that at the end of the day, that's like really important, isn't it? So I'm just going to finish by just very quickly just to say that tomorrow is the last day to sign up for the alignment keys. So I won't be, those of you that think I'm too shouty, probably won't going to be shouty now for at least a few weeks, maybe. Because it's the first time I'm offering this program, got a massive discount, ridiculous discount. So instead of it being 333, it's 147. So it's a massive saving of 186 quid. Kind of ludicrous, really. And it is, what you get is even more than the 333. I've been writing it the last few days. I'm loving it. I'm so excited. Got an amazing group that formed together. Powerful, powerful people come together. So all the stuff I've spoken about today will make sense as well in the alignment keys, because that's what we're building. How to empower ourselves, be in the center of ourselves, find our truth, know what we value, who we are, why, what that has meaning for us. So if you're interested, send me a direct message. If you want to have a little chat to see if it's right for you, you can do. But just to say, doors close, midnight tomorrow night. We start on Monday. And I tell you what, it's epic. So join or don't join. That's fine. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. Those of you that have been with me listening, it's really lovely to have your engagement as well. And those of you that watch this on the replay, do say hello. Any thoughts from this at all? And yeah, get yourselves on the alignment keys. That's what I say. It'd be bloody great. All right, darlings. Have a beautiful rest of your evening and so much love, and thank you for hearing me. Mwah.